Would you like to know my diet secrets and tips and tricks and how I pretty much stay lean year round all the time, no effort? And yet I wasn't always lean. I got chubby at one point in my life. Emotional eating, yes, definitely that was my thing. So listen up carefully. In today's video, I'm going to share with you, this video was actually requested by my brother. Well, he requested that I do a what I eat in a day type of video, but because I kind of change what I eat quite regularly and there's no set pattern to my day eating or what I eat in a day, I'm going to give you, in as condensed a version as possible, everything that I personally know and I guess believe. I mean, it's food and it's science, but what I believe to be true about eating and dieting. So listen up. You may even want to grab a pen and paper and jot down a few notes. I'm not saying I'm an expert or a guru. I did study low carb eating, and although I no longer practice it, I do err on the lower carb side of eating. But we went deep into nutritional science, and I'm a natural born studier and researcher. I mean, I got 100% for so many of my exams, and I went further and beyond, and I read all the extra reading material. So I went deep into the nutritional science rabbit hole. So I think what I'm saying would be pretty much sound advice. Again, use it, don't use it. You always need to think for yourselves and do what works for you, your lifestyle, and your body. But let's get into it. Listen up. So I'm sure you are dying to hear about what I'm currently eating and my diet. And not that I claim to have the best body, and I'm certainly not the leanest I've ever been, but I've made some notes. I will get through everything. I would say that for the last 20 years, food, how it affects the body, dieting, weight loss, all these things have occupied my mind. As a female, I guess we all want to be slim and trim, and I just never was a tall, leggy blonde. So for me, I always thought the best way to create the illusion of being taller and thinner was to get leaner. And also I wanted to know, sorry, there's hair in my mouth. I wanted to know what was the best way of eating for health and longevity. And so I've done a lot of reading just naturally over the years. Like I said, I studied to become a Banting coach. I no longer do that coaching because I just feel I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I don't work in a lab. I cannot tell someone what to put inside their body. Even though I've read and done research, I also went and I did research on the opposite side. So while you're studying Banting, I also went and read up on low-fat diets, on vegan diets. And let me tell you, every diet comes with backing, scientific testimonials, and almost everyone who is, what's the word, not punting, but has started these diets or are proponents, that's the word, proponents of these diets, they almost all claim to have more energy, to have lost weight, to have clearer skin, blah, blah, blah. So what I would like for you to do as you listen to me talk today is to just clear your mind of preconceived ideas and just start to think critically for yourself. And before we get into the actual nuts and bolts of dieting, what I really want to say, and this is why I've resisted putting out diet videos or food videos, is I really believe that we are not our bodies. We live in a body, we should take care of it. It is our home on planet Earth, but it's not us. I honestly, truly believe we are spiritual beings, and as such, that is the most important part. And your weight is the least valuable, the least interesting, the least meaningful thing about you. Your weight is just your weight. It's just a measure of the pull of gravity on your body, really. Yes, if you're morbidly obese, you should and must obviously lose weight. That is a danger to your health. But even then, who am I to say that you need to be healthy? You know, that is your body and it's up to you. Having said that, I do understand. I've got notes here, like I said. Having said that, I do understand our cultural obsession with weight and being thin and being lean and looking good. I myself am obsessed with it. I am trying to rid myself of it, especially as I get a bit older now. I'm 42 at the time of recording this. It's time to just move on and let it go and focus on other things, my talents, my abilities, my writing and speaking skills. I am such a deeply creative person and I have neglected it and let it go. Just want to say there may be some outside sounds. There's people working in the gardens and there's birds and all that, but hopefully we won't be disturbed. I think it's very important for me to just say, seeing as I am going to put this on YouTube, not that I'm that huge of a channel, but I don't and I'm not advocating any diet at all. The reason is because, like I said, I'm not a doctor or scientist. I do not know everything there is. I don't claim to know I don't even know that there is one diet that suits everyone. However, I will share with you the diets I've tried, what I've done, what I feel works, what doesn't work, what might work for you. But I do stress that you must make up your own mind and take control and charge of your body, your health, your diet. I would actually recommend, because this is what I've done for myself over my lifetime, treat yourself. Now write that, or just sink this into your brain. Write this down or sink it in. Treat yourself and your body as your own research experiment. I really think that is the way to get a control over your weight and your health. Don't worry what works for anyone else. Don't worry what works for me. Don't worry what works for your neighbor, for Joe, for Mary, for Jack, for Jill. Even all these great diet testimonials that you read on YouTube, on the internet, and you might hear them on YouTube. Even if it works for 10 people and you read these fantastic things like they lost 20 kgs in 3 months, it might not work for you. In terms of weight loss, I believe, this is what I have sort of seen for myself, it's a combination of how often do you move, what do you eat, how often do you eat, when do you eat, what are you drinking, alcohol, hormones, sleep, your mental state, your attitude. And also, I did mention beliefs, and we're going to go back towards beliefs later in my little talk that I've prepared. But I also believe that what you believe plays a huge role in how the diet works for you. And I also believe that when you are feeling happy and positive, your body responds to everything so much better. Okay, but let's also go back to something practical, which I want to say. When talking about diet, and if you're thinking about following a diet, you have to also take into consideration, listen to me sounding like an expert, but you have to, and I am a little bit of one, because of my self-experimentation, you have to take into account what is actually practically going to work for you and your lifestyle. So make a note of that as well. You may be on the road all day long. If you're a rep, you're traveling. Maybe you're a busy mother and all day long you're surrounded by your kids' food. Maybe you have zero time to prep food, and maybe you have lots of time to prep food. Maybe you hate eggs. Now, a lot of gym diets, personal trainers will recommend eggs. Eggs is like a cornerstone in a lot of gym diets. Maybe you just can't stand fish. I must say personally for me, I'm not a big fan of seafood. So therefore a diet that's heavy in seafood is just not going to work for me. Maybe you find that, is it insoluble? Yeah, insoluble fiber irritates your gut. Some people battle with that. Maybe you find, I don't know, I'm just going off the top of my head now, but you have to tailor things to suit you, especially if you want it to be long-term. So if you're looking for a long-term lifestyle diet, it's going to be a lot more flexible, practical, relatable. If you're wanting something short-term, like a crash diet, hell, who am I to judge? There's no harm in trying something, but then you must know that that is not going to last, and maybe the results won't last. Okay, let me just look at my notes here. Oh, yes. A very important point when talking about diet, I think we all need to bear in mind. Body ideals, societal, cultural body ideals change over time. They change from culture to culture, society to society. Even now today across the globe, if you go to different cultures, they have different body ideals. I've noticed in the fitness community, there's a huge upsurgence of this fit body type or body ideal for women and for men actually. So there's a lot of emphasis placed on being lean, ripped, shredded, all these things. One thing I will say is that having competed and been backstage with all the athletes, the way athletes look on stage, that very shredded, lean look, it's very difficult to maintain. You can be fairly lean year round, but it is difficult to maintain. And almost all, not everyone, but a lot of them, all they think about and talk about is food backstage. It's all they talk about. You backstage at a comp and all the athletes are gathering around talking about what they're going to eat, what cheat meals they're going to have, how they dieted, how hard it was, how hungry they are, blah, blah, blah. So bear in mind that sometimes a picture that you see that you want to look like may not be realistic for long term. Also, let's look at, I'll put a picture here of, for example, Marilyn Monroe, who was iconic was it the 50s? And yet she wasn't lean at all. She had that nice hourglass shape, but not lean at all. I'm quite heartened, how's that word, heartened, to see, like, for example, nowadays the Kardashians with their lovely curvaceous figures being revered and looked up to. I think that that's quite nice. But I think women who are naturally skinny, good for them. I mean, that's great. I grew up in the era of Kate Moss and Naomi Campbell and these tall, skinny supermodels. And so for me, that has been burnt into my brain because that was when I was young and impressionable. And that for me has been burnt in as the feminine female ideal, which I know, thank God, is no longer so strong. Yes, models are still skinny, but I've enjoyed the upsurgence of the gym look. So for me, with my nice muscular legs, that look has worked. And that's probably why I've embraced going to the gym and working out. So it is an ideal look that has worked well for me, and it was attainable for me. It's achievable, and I love working out. I feel good when I do it. So it all goes hand in hand for me. But just remember that, especially for the ladies here, I can't speak as much to men because I'm not a man, but for the ladies, just remember that we need body fat for our hormones to function. So if you drop it way too low, and I have dropped mine low and I've never stopped having a period, so I haven't gone into any unhealthy realms, which is good. But we need body fat for periods to maintain health. So bear that in mind as well. When I was 18, I'd matriculated from school. I went to England. I emotionally ate. I packed on a lot of weight, and I returned home 3 months later, the heaviest I've ever been in my whole life. I've never been that heavy again. it was almost like a decision I made, never going to get that weight ever again in my life. And I think that is how we lose weight. I think it's how we achieve a lot of things in life. You make a decision. It's like line in the sand, not going to happen or is going to happen. So after England, my whole family immigrated to Greece. And in Greece, we had to walk everywhere. We didn't have cars. It's not like South Africa. And we had to take public transport, run and catch a bus, catch a taxi, but we walked a lot. And the weight came off me, sort of slowly. And somehow, somewhere, I read this book on fat-free eating, theory being that fat is the densest in calories, kilojoules. So if you cut out all fat, you're going to lose weight. I sort of experimented with that, but in secret. I didn't want my mom to know I was obsessing about diet. But the problem with cutting out fat is that you do feel hungry all the time, and my blood sugar would be on the iffy side. So without fat, you find that your blood sugar spikes and then it drops quite quickly. We need blood sugar to maintain that slow release, that sort of, just slow release. So I didn't stick to that for very long, and it wasn't practical, and I wasn't cooking. Anyway, my family eventually all moved back to South Africa. I stayed in Greece. At the time, I had a boyfriend. We were living and working, selling stuff on the streets, touring, traveling, and diet just went out of my mind. And for the first time in my life, not even thinking about food and dieting, but just every day we walked wherever we needed to go. It was awesome. I mean, it's beautiful there, it's safe. So you walk everywhere. Okay, you catch the odd bus or taxi, but you're doing a lot of walking. Everything that needed to be done by me physically. All the house cleaning, all the washing even. We didn't even have a washing machine. The working was out selling on the streets, curious to tourists. So it was walking, it was standing, it was just being active and busy all day long. I never thought about dieting or food. I just ate to satisfy. I just ate the good, rich, healthy, hearty food until I was full and I stopped. It was amazing. I was a nice, healthy, stable, slim weight. Easy peasy. It was just a beautiful time in my life for being young, being carefree, and my weight it just took care of itself. Fast forward to coming back to South Africa when I wanted to study and no walking, didn't have to do housework as much, and I didn't really gain a lot of weight, but I did have to watch what I ate. And because I'd been through a weight gain and a weight loss period in my life, and I was still young, I had become more in tune with my body and knowing how to tell when it was picking up weight. And I would say for myself, the biggest lesson, if I can offer you one thing, and this is one you need to stick as well in your mind if you want to know how to lose weight, is I became, and since then have been, in tune with my body, my hunger, my satiety cues. So you know when you've overeaten, you know when that one bite extra is too much. And if you look at children, they will just stop when they're full, even if there's still half the ice cream left. Oh, I'm full, and they stop. Well, at least my son does. So he doesn't have a weight problem because the minute he's full, he stops. And it's wonderful. It was something that I did. It's something that I need to relearn and remember now, because now I've been programmed into gym diet culture, which left me hungry a lot of the time. So now that I'm trying to let go of diet notions, I find I do want to overeat a little bit, but I think that's the pendulum swing. So the pendulum will settle in a nice middle. But yeah, let's just carry on with my story here. I've always been, like I said, from the time I came back to South Africa, where I just portion controlled really, and was just in tune with my body, I was always at a pretty decent weight, up and down, but by a kg or two, nothing hectic, and was happy with the weight. Then when I decided to compete on stage for the first time in a bodybuilding show in what is called the bikini division, where it's not the female bodybuilding division, it's the athletic or worked out look, the look that someone has been working out. So I decided to compete for the first time. That was in 2012. In fact, that competition I will link to in the description box below and here. It is on my channel. You can see I got very lean. So I followed, at the time I had a personal trainer, gave me a diet and I followed it. It's the clean eating gym diet that is now almost standard, I guess you could say, or a lot of trainers would recommend it. And if you hire a trainer and you are competing, follow what they say and do what they say. It does work. I got lean very quickly. I had that beginner's mind, that enthusiasm, and I just did it. The problem for me with the clean eating is that, again, it was almost zero fat. There was a bit of coconut oil, but like 1 teaspoon or tablespoon a day, and it was not enough. I found that, yes, you're having 5 small meals a day, but I never felt fully satiated, never felt fully full. There is always a cheat meal in the gym diet world, and the cheat meal was also not enough often. I often found myself sneaking a little bit of extras. And my next competition, because I'd gotten so lean for that one, I decided to go into the softer beach division and soften up and not diet. So that was nice. That was actually quite cool. I didn't have to diet as hard. Then I went back into a leaner division, and I just found that with the clean eating, there's a lot of good to it. You eat unprocessed food, no junk except for your cheat meal. So there's a lot of good to it, and it's clean eating. It's clean meats, not processed. It's oats, it's brown rice, it's healthy food. But it does get boring. It does get repetitive. Food prepping is a good thing, and it does work, this whole gym eating. However, I find for long term, it's not entirely sustainable. You could probably sustain it by doing it during the week and then relaxing on weekends. I guess you want to know what I'm doing right now, and we'll get to that, but right now I'm not following a diet. I think because I'm tired of dieting. I'm tired of worrying about dieting and what I'm eating. But the clean eating, it does work. I would do it maybe for a lifestyle with slightly more fats. And then there, of course, can be a vegan option, a vegetarian way, and a meat eating way. So you could tailor it. It's probably the one that overall works the most. If you're looking for my quickest, best diet advice, if you can catch it, farm it, fish it, pick it, you can eat it. But even that, we all sometimes just want fun food, don't we? Okay. Next stage in my story, in my diet journey, was after those competitions, the 3 comps that I did. I then discovered Tim Noakes, Banting, which is the same as low carb, high fat, also known as keto, although keto is very strict on the high fat, keeping the carbs very low. So I delved into that a bit because the gym way of eating with the no fat, I did feel, again, that blood sugar high and low, and I felt unsatisfied. My mother dived into the low carb, high fat way of eating. She lost a lot of weight, and she did have weight to lose. I didn't have weight to lose, but I felt immediately energized and healthy. I think because my body just needed some fats in its diet. So I took to this diet because of how I felt immediately, but going too low in carbs meant that I started to get leg cramps, and I didn't have that intense vummer, that energy to push heavy or run fast. Low carb dieting works very well for, I find, like distance running, where you just need to go and go and go, but you're not putting in sprinting or vummer. But for me, the cramping. So I have had to give up on extreme low carb dieting, even though I experimented and I tried and I stuck with it. I think it does work for some people. Again, I think any diet, you need to try it and see what works for you. I was a coach, I stopped coaching. I no longer follow extremely low carb dieting, but I do enjoy, overall, I enjoy the low carb way of eating because I like the fats. They taste good, they give that nice mouthfeel to the food. However, I find carbs are very important. They give me, like I said, that quick burst energy to lift a heavy weight or to run or to sprint. And I like moving my body fast. I like doing cardio. I like sprinting. I like getting my heart rate up and sweating. So low carb eating doesn't really work for me there. Don't judge me, but at that period of time, I even experimented, because I was reading all the research, I even experimented briefly with the carnivore diet, which is very high fat and meat and nothing else. Well, for me, it just gave me the runs. Funny, you would think high fiber would do that. No, for me, the high fat gave me the runs. But anyway, that was short-lived and we won't go there. And Now, in my intro, I mentioned the word belief when it comes to diets. I'm just reading my points here because I think there's some stuff we need to talk about. And I think a lot of us do hold beliefs when it comes to diets, which is weird because it's kind of scientific and we shouldn't believe stuff. But if we think back to when we were all terrified of butter and we all thought saturated fat caused cholesterol, right? Do you remember that? In our minds, and I've heard people say this as well, we would say, I can literally feel my arteries clogging when you see the fat on meat or something like that. But our arteries are not like drains that get clogged by the fat. It's a way more complicated process than that. And it's not so direct. It's not like as the fat glides along, it just sticks. No. But anyway, you can see how the belief, based on what you read and hear, that dogma, how that affects your thinking around food. So as you're eating that steak with the fat, you're thinking, oh my God, my arteries are getting clogged. And you're visualizing it. Now, does that belief affect how that food travels into your body and what it does? Maybe. Maybe. It's a very good question to ask. And it's a point that I wonder about that. Because I used to think that way. And I used to also trim off the fat and cook as low fat as possible. And then I studied Banting, and next thing I'm eating fats, a lot of them, butter, coconut oil, animal fats, and I felt just as healthy. And I'd never tested my cholesterol and had my blood work done before, but on the Banting, my cholesterol was high, but it was all the good kind, all the big fluffy kind. So who knows? Who knows if it was high and fluffy and big and healthy before, but I am healthy and I've had all the cholesterol in the world now. And then you read the science that says high cholesterol is a good thing, especially as you age. You need your cholesterol to go up because it's a protective mechanism. So there's a lot of beliefs that we all pick up about diets. I mean, there's this belief that vegetables are so healthy, but out in the wild, where would man have found that many abundantly growing vegetables? Have you ever tried to grow veggies? The bugs just eat them. So without modern farming and pesticides, would we have eaten that many? All these questions. Fiber, yes, it's important, but how much? People are living on carnivore diets, although I have respect for it, but I don't recommend it. People are living on vegan diets. They're doing fine without meat. When we come to looking at diet and beliefs, if you research all the different diets and you read up as if this is the diet for you, you will find science, actual scientific papers, backing up almost any diet you could imagine. I've done the research, I dug into all the rabbit holes. Vegan diets, plant-based, whole foods, not junk food diets, you get people that are healing and curing diseases, losing weight, feeling great. In the low-carb community, where they eat just mostly fat and saturated fat, you get people losing weight, healing themselves of diseases, curing cancer, blah, 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 feeling great. So different diets completely, but you're getting the same testimonials. Now, how does that work? I can't explain it other than maybe our beliefs about what we are putting into our bodies. Maybe it's the belief about it that transforms our health. Maybe when we think we're doing the right thing, we relax, we get calm. Maybe we envision health. I don't know. You must make up your own mind. It's a bit of a conundrum for me. You would think that there would be one truth, but maybe our minds are so strong that we affect ourselves. Then I look at a child like my son who just eats what he wants. He stops when he's full or before, doesn't want to eat food he doesn't like, and his body is healthy. And he's at a great, fantastic weight, and he's growing, and his brain is sharp, and there's no dogma beliefs yet set into him. What I'm trying to do now in my life for me is free my mind of all the diet dogma and beliefs. I'm trying to get back to a childlike, not childish, childlike state when it comes to eating. And what I'm trying to do now, because I'm going full cycle, because I don't need to lose weight, I'm going full cycle now with myself. And I'm trying to regain the joy of eating. Eating is a joy and a pleasure and a luxury. I'm trying to feel that intense gratitude when I eat. Another important point, please listen when I say this. This is what I think for sure, is that a lot of our overeating, not all overeating, but a lot of it comes from anxiety, stress, heartache, pain. I do. I eat when I'm emotional. I eat when I'm stressed. I find when I'm anxious, it goes straight to my stomach and my stomach churns. And then that churning feeling creates that feeling of, you think you're hungry, but it's actually, you're anxious and you need to just eat something because you're anxious or bored. Boredom creates that feeling as well, and you start to just need something. And then the act of eating, chewing, swallowing, and that belly expanding, it's soothing. It's very soothing. And I think that's where a lot of overeating does come from. And I think, this is just my humble opinion, as always, I think the solution is to be calm. I think the solution to a lot of eating disorders is to, and I know it's difficult to just be calm. That's a whole other topic on how to be calm and how to relax. And we can maybe I should do a video on that next. But to eat in a calm state of mind, that would solve a lot of problems, I believe. To also eat without guilt around the food. I've noticed all of us do this. I do it. I'm very guilty of this. We'll eat something. We'll be in a restaurant, let's say. We order something. It's delicious. It's beautifully prepared. But we have beliefs or judgments about certain foods, ingredients. oh, the carbs are going to make me fat, the sugar, the whatever, the fat, the cheese, can't have cheese, whatever. And then we eat it, but we're feeling guilty the whole time because of our preconceived notions of certain foods that are on that plate. So as much as we are enjoying the food, we also, we're creating guilt in ourselves. And maybe that is part of the problem. Maybe we must just enjoy our food, move, and be done with it. I've talked a lot. I just want to see whether I've covered everything. The last point I want to make is, I didn't go into alcohol, but I do think that alcohol promotes weight gain. I've seen it in myself and in a lot of friends. So that's another thing to consider with diet. How much alcohol are you drinking? Because I think it does push the weight up. I don't know. Although some people, those lucky souls, can seem to eat and drink whatever they want and they stay lean. And now how is that possible? If we are all bodies, which we are, weight loss is possible for all of us. You need to find what works for you, and you need to be your own research experiment. So I hope all of this has helped and given you food for thought. Haha, excuse the pun. And I think, and what I want to say is that right now, I would call myself a varietarian. And I'm trying to free myself, like I said, of diet dogma and of any kind of rigidness around food. Because look, I'm 42. I want to enjoy my life. I want to enjoy things going forward, and I want to free mental space in my head for other things like writing and artwork and creating YouTube videos and putting thought into that and creating more valuable content, rather than my mind is always on what did I eat, how many calories have I burned, did I eat cheese, oh my god, it's like that. I want to stop all that calculating. I just want to be natural, let my body settle into a weight, have the energy to move, have the energy to run, have the energy to do handstand, which I love to do, but free my mind. And I'm not a body, and neither are you. And let's be calm. I love that word. I love it. I love it so much. It's tattooed on my wrist. Calmly. I think with all things, especially diet, if we just let go of all the crap, we may be better for it. I love you all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This one I tried my best to be as helpful as possible, as undogmatic as possible. And I would really, truly, please do leave a comment. I would love to hear your diet thoughts. It's a debate, it's a conversation. Let's help each other. What has worked for you? What has? I've shared what's worked for me. I've shared what I've tried, and I've tried it all. And overall, I think portion control is a big one. Ultimately, that's it. Yeah, write that down too. Portion control. Stop when full. Stop before being overfull. That's the key. Eat to just being satisfied, but be satisfied. Enjoy every bite, every mouthful. Let's throw away the guilt. We don't need the guilt. Guilt is the most useless emotion on the freaking planet. At 42, that thing I can say for sure. Let's do away with the guilt and let's enjoy. Bye, people. Subscribe, like, share. If you want to, you're an adult, you don't have to, but I would appreciate it. Bye.